Welcome back, friends. So let's pick up on our project here. Remember, I have a whole playlist of videos on this, so you have to watch them all. So at this stage, we have a label on the screen. And what happens is when you run a calculator project, give this a second to get built and load into memory. What happens is you enter a value, so tab over to the add button. And then eventually the output can accumulate this way. And it doesn't automatically scroll. It doesn't give you a scroll bar that you can use to go through the output. So one way to fix this is on the left side in the toolbox, type the following: flow layout panel. So grab a flow layout panel object and drag it in here like that. And take the following. On the left side, take the label and then place it in the panel like this. It's just a bit tricky to grab sometimes. So what you can do then is on the left side, do this. Go over to View, and then go over to Other Windows, and then go through these windows, and find the one that says Document Outline. So Control-Alt-T. Show the document outline this way, and then it shows you all of the objects present in the form. So form is like the parent object, and these are all the child objects. And then you have your label, and then what you can do sometimes if you pull it there and you drop it, see what you just did? It placed the label as a child object of flow layout panel 1 right here on the left side. You see that with the indentation. Automatically also in the visual view it does the same thing. The label now has been placed inside the flow layout panel. And then perhaps it's easier to move things around, you see? You can grab this and like change the size of it as needed and everything else like this, you see? Anyway, let's move this for now this way and then kind of drag it to the left. Okay, and then make sure it kind of fits within the form. Now remember, the label should be a child object of flow layout panel 1. And then with the flow layout panel selected, basically go over to its properties in the properties panel. So let's do that now. And then here on the right side, flow layout panel 1, go and find the following. Go through these properties, let's see, and find the one that says auto scroll. And as you can see, by default auto scroll is turned off. It's set to a value of false. So click on the drop down and select true instead. So auto scroll set that to true on the flow layout panel object inside the form. And let's see whether this gives us something. So click on calculator now, and then let this get loaded into memory. Now input a couple values. Okay, so add. Okay, so go through this. And you see the difference is on the right side, it gives you a nice scroll bar automatically. See this? Like that. And then as you generate more output here, right, you can scroll through it. That's the benefit. So it never goes out of view. You can always access the last bit of output. Now the fact that the output is getting put on the bottom, maybe you don't like that. So maybe you want to think of a way of recoding it so that the latest output always gets placed on top here. That's a way to do it too. Shut this down. And now that we've done this, let's also generate the code that will multiply. So take the subtract button here, and then Control-C and then Control-V to make a copy of the subtract button. Okay, and then on the right side, again, find the name property of button 1, the name given by default, and then change that so it says instead BTN and then product. Product is just another word saying multiply. What you get from the multiplication in English is called a product. And then scroll down, and then change the text property value from subtract to multiply this way. And then double click on the multiply button. And the nice thing is, remember in the last video I showed you how to create this process input method. So again, we can use it here. In fact, we can just reuse a lot of the code at this point. That's a really beautiful part, right? So what I'm going to do is this. I'll recreate it one more time just for practice. So var, and then I will say here inputs, and then you call process input, terminate with a semicolon, and then we just follow the same logic as we established in the other video. So we'll say if inputs that item 1, because item 1, remember, is a boolean quantity, then you're going to do the following: lbl output dot text, and then plus equals to append dollar symbol, the string interpolation slash a double quote slash n to make a new line, and then the usual. So inputs that item 2, and then times inputs, well, within curly braces, so inputs that item 3. So this will just show you each individual input on the screen individually, but then you actually have to carry out the operation. So type inputs.item2 times inputs.item3 and terminate with a semicolon. Of course, the other possibility is they're not convertible to numerical form, so inputs like that. There we go. But for that reason, you got to do else and then type the usual error message that we've been doing. So lbl output.text and then plus equals, for example, again, $, double quotes, /n for a new line, and then input must be in numerical form, and then terminate with a semicolon. So this is our basic multiplying method, very similar to the other ones. It's reusing process input. To run it now, click on calculator. Let's see whether this works or not. Alright, so 2. Try a couple simple values we can understand readily. 2 times 3, that's 6. Okay, do it a whole bunch of times. You see the scroll bar appears automatically, so you can scroll through the results. Now do it with a couple more complicated values in there. Okay, so scroll down to the bottom. There you go, 7.86216. That's good. Do it, for example, with a couple negative numbers like this. So we should have a positive result from multiplying two negatives. Then multiply, go to the bottom. So we have this positive 82.93, which is about right, given that these are being multiplied. And also, what happens with incorrectly formatted input, like some junk, hit multiply. Alright, and that does then give you input must be numerical form, right? Because you can't multiply the string by a number. Shut this down. Okay, this is the product method. I'll see you in the next video.